Hello, hello. Welcome to the Dreamers Podcast. I'm your host, Anne-Lyse Wealth, and I'm very excited that you decided to tune in for today's episode where I talk about some of the educators, coaches who are helping others get better with money and build wealth. A few weeks ago, there were a lot of headlines around some of the comments that Grant Cardone made when talking about who he identifies to be 50% of his audience. In a recent interview, he shared that he targets Black people under 40 years old by talking to them in street terms, not big nomenclature, and keeping everything tight and simple. So it was very interesting to see the reaction to his comments. Some people came to his defense saying that he simply understood his target audience and marketing, but in reality, his message also showed a lack of cultural awareness. Because first, every Black person under 40 years old is not from the streets. There's also a negative connotation associated with the streets, right? Someone who, as he said, has a 50% Black audience that brings him millions in income every year should know that. And also, in addition, his statement implied that Black people under 40 are not intelligent or educated enough and need to be addressed in street terms to be able to comprehend the information that he's sharing. So I'm not going to go into too much depth, but this is one of the statements he made. He's made multiple statements in the past that basically tell me that this is not a one-off. He has begged to use the N-word. Again, I'm not going to go into too much detail about this. But one thing that I do want to point out is that it's our choice to learn from or spend our money with whom we want, right? We do want to rethink spending money, investing, and helping people get wealthy, people who have no interest in understanding the cultural sensitivities of the community that they serve. In reality, his voice, his opinion is, again, to me, that wasn't very surprising. He was just bold enough to say what a lot of people like him actually think. People who make money from our community, but don't respect its people. And I'm not saying that this applies to every white man or every white person at all, but it is very important to pay attention to who you're learning from, who you're purchasing from, and they will show you how they really feel about you in some of the things that they say. In this episode, I think it's very important that we don't learn from people who only see us as dollar signs. We can invest in learning from coaches, educators who are knowledgeable, but who are also culturally aware. And one thing that I want to point out is we are often quick to elevate leaders and leaders who don't look like us and often don't give as much credit to the ones who have been doing the work for years and have helped others get amazing results. So I recently did a piece in Black Enterprise addressing that. And in that, I exchanged with Coach Rachel Rogers, and she had a very interesting comment about this. I'm going to go ahead and read it to you guys. We cannot be funding the businesses and livelihoods of racist people. You want to work with someone who has the expertise, shares your values, and has respect for you and your people. A lack of diversity on their team, a lack of cultural awareness in their communication, and a lack of giving back and real investment in your community, in the community that they serve, should all be major red flags. I thought her quote was spot on, but I wanted to take this opportunity to actually highlight some coaches, educators who are knowledgeable leaders, but also respect the community that they serve. The first one is Tiffany Aliche, also known as the Budgetnista. She's an award-winning financial educator, and she's the author of the New York Times bestseller, Get Good with Money. Tiffany has helped over 2 million people improve their finances through her Live Richer Academy. And in 2019, the Budgetnista law made financial education mandatory in middle schools in New Jersey. Another person to look into is Rachel Rogers. She's a best-selling author who has helped thousands of entrepreneurs scale their businesses to 6-7 figures and beyond. Her community, Hello 7, currently has a membership of almost 3,000 people, and she's been in business for over a decade, first serving small businesses as an attorney and now as a business coach. And she got into this space after noticing a gap when it comes to coaches serving historically excluded communities. Another group of educators that I think you should look into is Earn Your Leisure. It's a financial literacy media company founded by Rashad Bilal, Troy Millings, and Michael McDonald. And they provide endless resources to help people elevate their financial situation. They started Earn Your Leisure as a podcast, but it has now evolved into festivals, other live events at the intersection of financial literacy and culture, and really a movement to provide education and entertainment worldwide. The next one is Terry Ijeoma, who has been a guest on the podcast. She's the founder of Trade and Travel. Terry is a former school assistant turned multimillionaire trader and educator who has helped over 30,000 people learn how to trade in the stock market. John Hope Bryant, he's the founder of Operation Hope, Inc., a leading nonprofit dedicated to financial literacy and economic empowerment, serving over 4 million people and directing more than $3.2 billion in economic activity into disenfranchised communities. He's also the author of The Memo, 5 Rules for Your Economic Liberation. There's also Dr. Jatali Benton, friend of the show. She's an investment banker turned financial literacy educator and real estate investor. Dr. Jatali has spent the past decade teaching adults and kids about money and how to build wealth. Her Kids Who Bank curriculum has been taught in close to 300 schools across the US. So within our community, there is a wealth of educators, coaches who have been working for years to help people improve their financial situation. They have found success for themselves, but have also helped thousands of others do the same. These leaders are culturally aware and invested in improving their community. Now, does that mean that we should only learn from Black people? No. What we should do is learn from people who take the time to do the research to understand the community that they serve, but also we have to do the due diligence so that the people that we choose to learn from appear to have our best interest at heart. We should value their expertise just as much as we would value the expertise of a white male, for instance, like Grant Cardone. And so that doesn't mean that we should trust every Black person to be our coach or educate us, right? I'm going to give you a quote from Rachel Rodgers here. You have to do your due diligence to make sure that the people that you choose to learn from are experienced, have respect for you, your identity, and care about helping you. The best way to know that is to speak to folks who work with that coach and see what their experience was like. So when looking for someone to guide you on your wealth building journey, here are some of the questions to ask yourself. And this was provided to me by Dr. Jatali. Have they created the success that you would like to achieve? Do you align with their teaching style? Do you agree with their risk tolerance level? We can learn from people from different backgrounds, really, but who we choose to learn from should respect us and see us as more than a dollar sign. That's the bottom line. And I'm going to give you a couple of examples of people who are not necessarily Black, but who understands that. Farnoosh Torabi is the host of the So Money podcast. She has repeatedly used her platform to have uncomfortable conversations with a majority white audience about the racial wealth gap and what we can do to help close it. I also asked Rachel Rodgers to name a few other coaches who are invested in closing the wealth gap. She mentioned Pam Slim. Here's what Rachel Rodgers said. She's an incredible business coach and mentor who's a champion of the causes that affect people of color and has mentored so many young Black entrepreneurs, myself included. Susan Hyatt is a coach and expert in real estate and entrepreneurship who has shown a real commitment to using her privilege to direct attention to issues that matter to Black people way before 2020. So I just wanted to come on here and share with you guys that it's our responsibility, and who we choose to learn from is something that we can choose. We don't have to learn from people who show signs that they really don't care about anything other than a dollar. There was a recent report by McKinsey that said that Black Americans specifically represent 300 billion annual opportunity for companies. That's just Black Americans. There are Black people all around the world, and I can't even imagine what that number looks like. But that is power if we come together and leverage it like other communities before us have done. But here we have the opportunity to take that information and do something with it and demand respect from the people that we spend our money with or invest in, But at the individual level, we also have a choice. I'm going to ask you, do you align or do you learn from, do you invest your money with people who respect you and respect your community? If not, why do you expect them to respect you? If history has shown us anything, nothing is going to be given to us. We're not going to get more than what we demand, right? So at the individual level, at the group level, it's on us to change that. It's on us to hold people accountable for what they say. And it's on us to align and learn from and choose to be in community with people who respect us. All right. I just felt like I needed to get this out. I hope you enjoyed today's episode of the podcast. Stay tuned for the next episode on how to 10x your revenue and wealth. All right, that's it for today. I will see you back here next week for another episode of the Dreamers Podcast. Bye.